Welcome back to the Designer Blueprint series. My name is Elizabeth and I've been designing crochet patterns for almost a decade. In the previous episode, we discussed color selections and different crochet construction methods. Now it's time to focus on turning your design into a well-written pattern that others can follow. Before we begin, let's discuss a few things to keep your instructions user-friendly. Use consistent formatting. Stick to a single font style, size, and layout. Bold or italicized section headers for easy navigations. Avoid excessive jargon. Use clear, simple language to explain special techniques. Provide checkpoints to your makers. If a project has multiple pieces like front, back, panels, sleeves, remind crocheters to check their stitch count before moving on. Encourage customization. Suggest ways to modify the designs like adjusting length or using a different stitch for a portion of the pattern. Now that we have this out of the way, let's break down the pattern layout. Pattern structure. Every crochet pattern follows a general format that ensures readability and ease of use. While the specific layout may vary, a well-structured pattern typically includes a title, notes, material list, dimension, stitch abbreviations, and gauge. The title should be simple yet descriptive, something that gives crocheters an immediate idea of what they are making. I choose to break this rule and use meaningful names that I explain in my introduction section of the pattern. I've instead focused on using SEO-friendly tags when promoting the pattern to provide makers with an idea of what they are making. The introduction provides a brief overview of the projects, including its inspiration and potential uses. This is what my title page looks like. Remember, your layout does not have to resemble anyone's, as long as it fits your style and provides the important information for makers to recreate your design. It is perfect. The notes section. Add information regarding unique features or techniques used throughout the project here. You could also mention the difficulty level under this section. This is a great place to add reminders such as chain 3 at the beginning of row counts as double crochet, or skip all double crochet 3 together when working row 7 of the pattern. Things you do not want to have repeated constantly in the pattern. A pattern should list all necessary materials, including the yarn weight and the fiber content. This helps your makers select the right yarn to achieve the look advertised. You can also suggest yarn substitutions based on what your testers have had success with. Yarn brands can also be included here, but it is not as important unless it is a collaboration, or you want your makers to be able to use the exact same yarn that you use. Additional notions like stitch markers, buttons, and tapestry needles can be listed under material list as well. Finished dimension of the project. Makers should know the expected size of the project before they start, as it helps ensure the final piece turns out as intended. Finished dimensions include measurements such as width, length, overall shape, which are especially important for wearables, blankets, and home decor items. Providing clear finished dimensions in a pattern helps makers decide if they need to modify the gauge, adjust stitch count, or alter the pattern for a custom fit. Gauge information ensures that a finished piece turns out the correct size. Your pattern should include a gauge swatch measurement specifying the stitch patterns used and how many stitches and rows are required per inch. An example is shown on the screen here for you. List all the abbreviations you'll be using throughout the pattern. Although this is one of the first section of your pattern, it's usually the last section I work on before submitting my pattern to my tech editors and my testers. Craft Yarn Council has a comprehensive list of abbreviations that are most widely used in the community. Use that as a reference point. To avoid writing the same instruction over and over, designers will use standardized symbols to keep things more concise. The asterisks mark steps that makers will need to repeat across a row, as in the example shown on the screen here. This means the makers will repeat the steps after the asterisks until they reach the end of the row. You may choose to use 2 asterisks inside a repeat as shown on the screen here. Here you are instructing the maker to repeat everything after the single asterisk across the row, but stop at the double asterisk the last time they do the repeat. They will be skipping the picot every time they do the repeat. Brackets and parentheses can also be used to show repeats. The number after the brackets tells the maker how many times to do something, while the parentheses are used to group stitches worked in the same stitch. In the first example, you are instructing the maker to repeat everything within the brackets 9 times before moving on. In the second examples, they'll work all the stitches into the same stitch, forming a shell. If you've used special stitches in your pattern, it is a good practice to write the instruction in this section to teach the makers how to make it and also avoid repetition and making the pattern unnecessarily long. These are the basic information that must be included in your pattern. As you can see from the example on your screen, I provide other information beyond the basics to ensure my audience has an enjoyable making experience. I will link this template in the description below for you to be able to use and customize for your own style. If you're enjoying this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any part of this series. Writing stitch counts and row repeats. Stitch counts and row repeats ensure the crocheter stays on track throughout the pattern. Every row or round should include a total stitch count at the end and formatted clearly to avoid confusions. Look at the example on your screen. If your pattern includes repeated sections, indicate them. Instead of writing out identical rows multiple times, use phrases like the one shown on your screen now. For multiple size patterns, stitch count should be listed in parentheses with smaller size first. If the pattern requires shaping, indicate where adjustments occur and provide guidance on maintaining stitch pattern. For example, when shaping armholes in a crochet top, you might write something like this. For top-down or seamless projects, specify where to place increases, like this example. Also include heading sections such as right shoulder, front panels, back, so that the maker may know which portion of the garment or projects they are currently working on. Visual learners benefit greatly from stitch diagrams, especially for intricate patterns like lace or motifs. If possible, provide a chart alongside written instructions. There are digital tools like Stitch Fiddle or Adobe Illustrator that makes the process easier. If charting isn't an option, consider including close-up photos of key steps to aid in comprehension. What's next? Your pattern is almost ready for the world, but before publishing, it is essential to test it first. In the next episode, we'll discuss working with pattern testers, ensuring your design is accessible to crocheters of all skill levels, and the difference between testers and tech editors. Subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any part of this series. And as always, follow me on all my social media accounts listed below and support me on Patreon for $4 a month so I can keep making videos like this for you. See you next Wednesday.